Hi, I'm Dave Harmon. I'm with my partner Keith Cook, and we're with RE/MAX in Whatcom County. And we're going to talk a little bit about partnerships, joint ventures, and equity sharing. And just like Keith and I are business partners in real estate, and we work together. Getting into real estate with a partner is kind of a fun and exciting way to do it. So we're going to dive into it a little bit and kind of explain, from the little to the big on what's involved.
So for the most part, either partnerships or equity sharing or joint ventures, I think they make a lot of sense because you can take different parties that are going to bring something different to the table. So, you might be great at selling and managing the real estate, and I might be a great painter. So,
Right.
And the handy person. So finding people that kind of complement what you're working on is a benefit. Plus, it's kind of like an island, just like in real estate. I think a lot of brokers work individually. I think we like working together and with the team is because we have someone to bounce stuff off of, and we're not just in charge of every decision, and we can have, rely on other people's strengths. So how would you lay it out? There's all different types of partnership agreements. And so it's just a matter of finding people that you'd want to work with. And then I would start and just, have lunch and kind of go over what your goals are. Is it long-term, or short-term? Are you looking to fix and flip and make some quick cash? Are you looking for rental income or to develop it? Or, making sure that if you're not looking long-term and your partner's looking to fix and flip it, then you're on the same page. Or if you're both flippers, then you're on that same page.
Right. Yeah, I think it's like I said, it's a good opportunity to get into stuff maybe a little bit less risk because you're pooling money and resources together, or maybe it's vice versa. Maybe one guy has the money and the other guy has the ability. I mean, if I have an extra $100,000 sitting in the bank and my buddy is like an A+ contractor and is going to do all the work, then it's that can work as well. But yeah, if you're just looking at a place, maybe Keith has $20,000, I have $20,000. Now we have $40,000 together. We can buy something and have a little bit better equity involved right out of the gate instead of leveraging higher on the.
Right. And either that 40 or like you were saying earlier, one person has a little bit more money. It can all be worked out. Right. So I think and that's the idea is you're going to have a partnership. It's cool. It's almost like a friendship or a marriage or people that you're going to work with or be with for a while. And it's just, letting people know like who's going to do what duty. So if it's who does the maintenance, who does the bookkeeping, who does the taxes. So the way it would probably start would be that realistically, you're going to see a property with some friends or something, say, well, let's buy this together. And then it's like, how does that ownership work? Right. And most likely if a group of people were to buy a property, it makes sense to put it in like some type of an LLC or have an agreement. So an LLC in Washington is a limited liability corporation. And so basically it just means that you all own part of that LLC and whatever percentages. And that's where you kind of basically have all of the understanding of how that is going to work. And that is the entity that owns the real estate. And you could have all kinds of different rules like, Keith doesn't have to paint,
Right.
And so whatever one ever agrees to, if someone doesn't agree to that, then that's not in the rules. So there'll also be some exit strategies and some basis in there. There's going to be, in case one person wants out, how to deal with one person wanting out. If the idea was to hold it for 10 years and someone wants to sell after 6 for whatever reason, there's going to be some buyout agreements. So trying to plan ahead and think as much ahead with these agreements makes sense.
Right. It's and one thing, it's great if you want to get involved with friends or maybe family members or whatever. But one thing to remember is it is a business venture together. So you definitely want to have it spelled out so that you have the right structure. So you've met with an attorney or an accountant, and you know what avenue you're going to go down, and you have some type of agreements in place. But yeah, it's a great opportunity because even if it's like that person they want out, Keith wants out, and we're partners in something, I can either buy him out. We can bring in another partner. Maybe we want to do something else, and we restructure and bring in a third person that can help and move things along too. So yeah, it's definitely kind of fun because you have a lot of different minds coming together with different ideas.
And yeah, I've been partners with a few different people in a variety of properties, and they're not always the same, and it doesn't have to necessarily be the same partner every time you you work on something. And at least for me personally, I just like the camaraderie of working something together. So I've had partners, I've had properties with no partners, and it just, I guess, kind of nice to have everyone kind of row in the same direction and thinking that's what you're working on. So it's, like I said, real estate can be complicated. There's a lot of stuff to come in, or even if it's a rental, if you're out of town, who's managing the rentals when you're out of town? And that's where a partner would come in. So if you're, making sure that you have someone that complements yourselves, I can speak for me and Dave. We're available for partnerships. If you guys got some properties that you think you need some partners on, you come up with the money, and then we'll come up with a plan.
Right.
No, but partnerships do make a lot of sense. So if it's there's ways to buy each other out of them, and so it has to be a win-win situation, and ideally it works out to great for everybody. Mostly what we're talking about, I think, is the smaller, easier to finance. You throw in 50 grand, I throw in 52 grand,
48,
whatever. We come up with some money and kind of tackle kind of the smaller projects. And this is how the big projects happen too, is people end up putting together. So there's us too. So we got 100 grand, we got 6 more people. Now we got, 300 grand. So it's just a matter of how you're going to put something together. And it's just identifying the structure on how that's going to work with a bigger project. Because sometimes these bigger projects can have more equity in them,
right,
and different partnerships. So it might be like we did one, it was over 14 million, and they ended up buying it. It was componented it out. So they had it already pre-planned on like 5 different components. So it wasn't one person doing the whole takedown. They had different components coming in for how it was going to work. And that's where it makes sense, is the people were looking at the offering and saying, right, I'm going to work on these, and that works for me. And it worked out for everybody. Mm-hmm. So it's not that everyone's going to go jump into one of those, but that's how big real estate happens. So we deal with more people if they're an LLC. So we're actually going to get to see the people. And I haven't seen them a lot around here in Bellingham, but they have the DSTs, the Delaware Statutory Trust. And what that is, it's a different type of ownership. So you can have almost like a fractional. Mm-hmm. It used to be more like tenants in common, but you could, say you had $1 million and you just wanted to put it into real estate, but didn't want to do all the managing. You could just buy whatever percentage of a larger building. So if it's a $10 million building, you can already go into an existing situation, buy 10% of it, and kind of be hands off. There's a lot of them. You would absolutely want to research on what their company goals and philosophies are to make sure that aligns with what you're looking to do, because you're a minor voter. I mean, if you have as much as 10%, it seems great. $1 million is great. Right. On a duplex that you have 100% control. But if you're in a DST, then you might have 10% control. So there's a lot of options for owning real estate. I think people have looked at it historically as a good way to make investments and help their future. So it helps inflation. People have to live somewhere. So, I mean, we're everywhere you go, we're in real estate. Earth is real estate. So we're selling earth and just trying to figure out how to own it. People get creative and try to figure out how to make money on anything, but it's pretty safe from my standpoint. If you buy something that's nice, you're going to sell something that's nice. And for the most part, the market goes up and down, but it's pretty, I think more stable than a lot of other investments out there.
Yeah. And I think it's, like I said, it's kind of a fun journey. So, in any of these equity sharing or partnership types things, doesn't matter the scale that you're on. So if you're just, maybe it's you and your buddy, start out, buying the popsicle stand, and that's.
I went partners on a $4,000 lot. Yeah. So it was just like, how does it go? Well, it was exciting to talk about it together. I mean, so it was actually. It turned out great. It was, but there's the thrill of the kill and having the fun with it and just sharing that. So it's kind of hard to go to excited unless you're just the lone wolf, want to do everything you can. Now, if you have a significant other, then that's a partnership right there. Right. Or do you want to put a couple partnerships together and make it more of a group? So if you're just doing it by yourself versus having a group, I think the group is more enjoyable.
Right. Yeah, and you kind of see it as people get along as investors in these partnerships or whatever, and it kind of morphs over time. And maybe you did start out with that little $4,000 lot or whatever, and then next thing you know, you're buying a duplex, and then you get a little equity, and then you're a fourplex, and then maybe you get more involved, and then you're looking at some of the syndications or REITs, or you're looking at different ways to get involved in real estate that gives you an income. So some people like having the passive income, and some people like being active. And that's, as you kind of grow through the whole process, you really learn. Not everybody starts out, investing in that, shopping mall, strip mall type investment. It starts out, little baby steps, and then people enjoy it. They love it. It's tangible. You can actually see it and look at it and touch it. So it's definitely fun, and it's always appreciated through time.
Sounds like you like it. It does make sense, because it's, with homes, they'll talk about starter homes. And so it's your first one. It's not your dream home. It's just like where you're going to go. It's not going to be on the, water. It's your first home, and it's almost like your first investment too. So it's like, doesn't have to be, the fanciest mall either. So it's kind of baby steps and seeing what you can work up towards. And I think partnering with the people that you want with the strategy is that, when's the buy or sell? And that's something that we like, is kind of having these conversations and look at all the pros and cons and looking at the options out there. So, you could buy a property, fix it up, and it's worth a lot more. Okay, well, do we flip it? Well, let's get into that, because it's not necessarily cheap to flip a property. You might have more equity moving into the next property, but is that your stair step, what you want to do? Or kind of, another strategy would be to pay the loan down and refinance it, get some money back, or reinvest somewhere else. So a lot of the ideas is, once you have one investment, you want more. And how do you get more? Do you fix that one up and sell it, or do you fix it up and refinance it, or how do you put it all together? And each situation is different. That's our fun job, is dealing with each property's unique, each buyer's unique, each seller, every situation's different. So putting all those pieces of the puzzle together is kind of what keeps us in business, is just trying to really help connect the dots and come up with some ideas, because it's wild how many times we'll come up with some ideas and people are like, I never thought about that. So it's like, all right, I know when we're doing a good job is when we're bringing stuff to the table. Well, so there you go. That's how real estate can work with partnerships or joint ventures, or working with a group or individually. I mean, we're not saying if you don't want to work individually, but this video was about partnership. So there's nothing wrong with being an individual and going to do your own thing as well. We've worked with a lot of groups, individuals, joint ventures. It's fun. The whole part of real estate is just helping people put those pieces of the puzzle together. So anyways, we hope you enjoyed this one. We'll be back for more videos later. Please like and subscribe. If there's any video content you would like to see us make specifically, please let us know. If you have any specific questions about anything, we are always available to go over any of your needs. Thanks.